Falcon's Flight will be the craziest roller coaster ever built, just as long as it gets built. This coaster has the craziest stats on a roller coaster ever. Almost 14,000 feet of track. I'd have 639 feet. Like, that is crazy. Not to mention the top speed of 155 miles per hour. These stats are wild. And I think that this one roller coaster might have just changed the roller coaster game forever. Falcon's Flight at Six Flags Qiddiya will be the world's first exocoaster, which means a roller coaster over 600 feet. I just want to put this out there, but I think it's kind of crazy that we literally skipped the 500-foot mark and just went straight for 600. Like, I don't know. We were all over here speculating whether Top Thrill 2 would be over 500 feet. And then this coaster comes along and it's like, who needs 500 feet when you can go for 600 feet? Okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Okay, for contrast, King Ka, the current holder of the record, only stands at a height of 456 feet. Yes, this coaster will be over 150 feet taller than the previous record holder for the tallest roller coaster in the world. Like, dang, they really went all out. Like, they were trying to break as many records as humanly possible in one roller coaster. Now, don't get me wrong, both of these coasters are absolutely massive, but Falcon's Flight is just so much more impressive because it actually has a real layout. On King Ka, you launch, go over your top hat, you come back down, and then you glide over an airtime hill and hit the brakes. While Falcon's Flight features a complete layout with a lot of elements really packed into this 14,000 feet of track. I mean, not only have they packed in ridiculous stats, they have also created a ride with a pretty well-designed layout. Now, this layout probably could have been a little better, but this ride is still going to be, like, crazy. Like an unforgettable experience. And for anyone who is going to be able to make it out there, that they're just probably going to forget about, the layout probably could have been better, but they're going to completely forget about that, because they're just going to focus on the crazy forces, the massive, airtime hill. When you build a coaster of that magnitude, eventually the layout just kind of gets just lost in translation. Like, this thing is just crazy. Now, why will this coaster change the roller coaster game forever? Well, what about those other theme parks, like Cedar Point, Energylandia, Magic Mountain? These parks are most likely not going to sit back and let Falcon's Flight take all the glory, unless this coaster has some serious issues, which I will address later in the video. I think some of these bigger parks are going to look into building some pretty huge rides in the near future. Maybe not on the scale of Falcon's Flight, but I could definitely see some really massive coasters coming to a few theme parks here in the US. Now, given that Falcon's Flight stats are, absolutely crazy, I doubt that they're going to be broken anytime soon. But if this coaster is a success, it's going to prove to the amusement park industry that these massive coasters can really be successful at times. Now, smaller parks like Dorney Park going to be building, 400-plus foot roller coasters? No. But, Cedar Point, Canada's Wonderland, maybe even Kings Island, Magic Mountain, those big, maybe, regional amusement parks, I could definitely see them building some really big rides here in the future, and maybe even topping 400 feet. Now, you may be thinking, Stratocoasters at a bunch of amusement parks? That's not going to happen. And you might be right. So, if these parks decide not to maybe take a risk and build these massive exocoasters and stuff, well, how will this still change the roller coaster game? And trust me, it will, as long as Falcon's Flight is successful. Cedar Fair has not worked with Intamin for a long time. Oh, come on, Cedar Fair, and we're all dying for some brand new Intamin roller coasters to come here to the US, because these things are insane. And with Cedar Fair merging with Six Flags, I feel like there's hopefully a little bit of a better chance that Intamin really starts to work its way back into the American market. These two companies have both avoided Intamin because Six Flags couldn't afford it, and Cedar Fair didn't like them. But if Falcon's Flight is successful, that has to prove to the amusement park industry that, if Intamin can make a 600-foot roller coaster work, then they can make a 300-foot roller coaster work. If Intamin can get back into the American market, I think that they could build some pretty incredible roller coasters. And Intamin is known for being innovative and taking risks. And if they can get back into the American market, they can make some pretty incredible things happen. And that is how Falcon's Flight can change the roller coaster game forever. Hold up, wait a minute. What if Falcon's Flight is an absolute disaster? What then? Well, I'm glad you asked. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Falcon's Flight could be incredibly unreliable and a complete disaster. Now, a coaster of this magnitude is automatically going to be a little problematic, at first at least, because it's the first roller coaster to surpass 600 feet. But I really do think Intamin can make it work. But just in case, here's reason number 1. The multiple LSM launches that this coaster uses. Geez, why are launches always a problem? Now, Intamin's pretty good at these LSM launches, but it appears that this coaster will feature 3 launches. The initial lift hill, the second lift hill up over the mountain, and then there will be a 3rd and final launch to get you enough momentum to get over the top hat. Now, this normally wouldn't be a problem on your average roller coaster, but this coaster is so big that there's going to be a lot of LSM fins, like a lot. These LSM fins all have sensors in them and are all monitored on a central computer, and if a single one of these sensors throws an error, then the whole coaster has to shut down. This could make this ride really unreliable and turn this thing into a complete disaster. Moving on to reason number 2. The conditions that this roller coaster will be exposed to. Here's this roller coaster will be situated in a kind of a desert type climate, meaning it'll be exposed to a lot of heat and a lot of sand. Now I do not know for sure, but that combination does not exactly sound good for a roller coaster. And I'm a little worried that constant exposure to these elements will wear down the coaster faster and potentially make it rougher quicker. And given that this ride is already massive, if it becomes even a little bit rough, it'll be very noticeable when you're traveling at 100 plus miles per hour. And that could be a real problem for this coaster, because it will basically make it unrideable. Speaking of being unrideable, this brings me to my 3rd reason. This coaster might just be too intense for the average theme park guest. Remember, you're going to be 600 feet in the air and traveling at 100 plus miles per hour for a decent amount of this coaster. And think, there are a very small percentage of people who visit an amusement park that are coaster enthusiasts. Now for us coaster enthusiasts, we'll love the intense ride and think it's amazing. But to the average theme park guest, they're going to think it is way too intense and it'll probably be not tolerable for them. And if the general public do not like a coaster, it really hurts a coaster's popularity. Like, a lot. And I'm just worried that there are some elements on this coaster that are just going to be too intense. Overall, Falcon's Flight could change the roller coaster game forever, as long as it's successful. And even if it's not, it might just help Intamin break into the American market and start working with our favorite theme park chains more often, bringing us more great Intamin roller coasters. If you enjoyed the video, then give the video a like, and hitting that subscribe button is a great way to say thank you. And I really appreciate each and every one of you who have taken the time to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. Let's all hope that Falcon's Flight is a smashing success. Have an amazing holiday season, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.